1 in every 5 deaths in South Africa is due to cardiovascular disease. Now that translates to 82,000 people a year. It is Heart Awareness Month, and this week's focus is on smoking and the risks it poses. Joining me to discuss this is the Foundation's Dr. Bianaca van Westhuizen and medical practitioner Dr. Tracy Nelwamondo. Thank you very much for joining us, both of you. Tell us more about this, firstly, shocking statistic, 82,000 a year.
Yes, so
that is even possible.
That is absolutely staggering. So just to put it into a more context, every day, so this is now every day, it's not monthly, 225 people die in South Africa of a heart disease. Wow. And 10 people every hour suffers a stroke in our country. So we can see worldwide that heart disease is a problem, with almost 18 million people dying annually worldwide. So that's the reality of it.
Is this an increase?
Yes, so it's definitely increased over the past few years. So heart disease worldwide is the #1 killer at the moment. In South Africa, it's the second biggest killer. So HIV and AIDS are still the #1 killer. So we have seen a dramatic increase in heart diseases.
And from your experience, tell us about how heart disease affects what you see, your research, and your patients.
So basically, as the statistics have been mentioned, it's quite horrific. We are actually in a third world country. We have not only first world problems, but we still have to deal with the third world problems as well. So not only do we see heart problems, but it's actually the other comorbidities that are associated with heart problems as well. So not only do our patients suffer from heart problems, they have diabetes, they have hypertension, and then all of that just comes in and then makes the pot bigger, and then increases the burden of disease.
And how should you tackle with this sort of disease and all the factors that are mounted to it or attached to it?
So that's actually a very good question, because mostly heart disease or heart problems are mostly lifestyle. And as I mentioned, diabetes, hypertension, it's also lifestyle-related conditions. Although there are some genetic conditions or genetic factors that we cannot control, it's good to know that it's a lifestyle illness, and then there are things that you can actually do to prevent them, or actually to lessen your risk of actually dying from them.
So, I mean, it's good to know it's brought on by yourself, but also that's horrific, isn't it?
Yeah.
That we are killing ourselves.
Exactly.
And knowingly.
Exactly.
Do most people know what leads to these problems?
Yes, like Tracy said, 80% of heart disease are preventable by lifestyle choices. So yes, there's a lot that we can do. I think people in South Africa and worldwide are not aware of the risk factors. So they are not aware what their blood pressure or what their cholesterol levels are. And I mean, if you don't know what is wrong, how can you fix it? So that's also something we educate for, is to know your numbers. Go and check your blood pressure, your glucose, your cholesterol annually at least.
This month, it's an awareness of your heart, an important organ.
Yes.
Talk us through it.
So the whole month of September is dedicated to Heart Awareness Month, and it's managed and driven by the Heart and Stroke Foundation. So we have 4 core messages that we like to convey throughout this month. So the first one is to create awareness around CVD. So that's heart diseases and stroke. Then we would also like to increase awareness on the risk factors that causes these diseases. Then we also do some health promotion stuff. And then ultimately we want to reduce the burden of CVD. So this whole month then leads up to World Heart Day, which is celebrated on the 29th of September. And that is a day that's celebrated internationally. And it's also in collaboration with the World Heart Federation. So that's.
And how easy is it to get your message across? I mean, how do you get your message across to make sure that everybody gets to hear it?
So we have quite a busy time during September, and we try and get the message across on as many platforms as possible. So we are very active on social media. We are doing radio interviews, television interviews. Then we also have one of the major pharmacy groups joining us and providing free risk screening for the whole month of September. So we are encouraging the South Africans to go and test your blood pressure, your glucose, your cholesterol, to know your numbers.
Could this do it? Could it make an impact?
Definitely. She's actually just said it well. That's what you need. You need to know where you stand. You need to know your numbers, and at the end of the day, you need to actually make action, do something about your numbers. It's not just knowing your numbers. When you know them, what do you do about them? So lifestyle changes, that's what I do. That's what I emphasize on. You need to actually know your numbers and then do something with them. So for example, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So for example, so lifestyle, so what I mean by lifestyle is, I've just been throwing the word around. So activity. So you need to move. Our bodies were made to move, and you need to move. Nutrition is very important. That's
Sorry,
what I
first
use.
to go back to activity. I mean, is there any type of activity? I mean, should it
That's
be
the thing.
weights versus walking, or basically will anything do?
That's the thing. I believe that you need to do an activity that you enjoy, because then it won't become a burden. It won't become a chore. It needs to be something that you entirely enjoy. For example, I garden. Me and my son garden, and that's my movement. You can go to gym if you enjoy that. You can lift weights if you do that. Play with your children. That's activity. Our bodies were made to move. Don't make it a chore. Make it something you thoroughly enjoy. Then it won't have to be work. It won't have to be something that you need to diarize.
What about nutrition, and specifically at schools?
So nutrition is obviously a big factor that influence all these risk factors that we see. So our week 3 actually in September month will focus on nutrition and exercise. And we want to encourage the public to look again at your vegetable and fruit intake. So we really want to drive this 5 a day again, to try and get in 5 fruits and vegetables per day. And then, of course, like you said, in schools, it's extremely important. So the Heart and Stroke Foundation has conceptualized the school health promotions initiative, and this just focuses on starting very early to promote health amongst primary school children and also the staff of educational institutions.
Is there an expense element here that's detrimental, that's prohibitive rather, in schools and families feeling that they have to give their kids so many fruit and pieces of fruit and veg?
Yes.
Is that an issue?
Yes, of course. I mean, we all hear all over the news, our country's in recession, so economic times are tough, but it's still possible to rather choose your fruits and vegetables rather than buying the packet of chips or the sugar-sweetened beverage. I mean, that's still money that you give out. So rather go for the healthier options. Yes.
And how early should one start one's kids? I mean, from day one, I guess.
Definitely. I have a 2.5-year-old, and then he eats right. So education is also very imperative. Our children need to know at a very young age what they need to eat. And then we need to actually focus on food that's relevant in our country. It shouldn't just be like about trends, about 5 a day, and because it never worked. It does work, but we've been saying that message for how long now? Where are we now? Has that changed? So should we maybe be saying a different message?
Okay, well, maybe Mandisa can tell us what needs to be said. Mandisa from KZN, go ahead.
You're speaking to Mandisa. I myself have suffered from numerous lifestyle diseases, and as a result, I started following the Heart and Stroke Foundation's guidelines of specifically the foods you should be eating. And the items that they mention, to mention just a few, to mention but one, Flora, has items, and I did my own personal research. I found that it also has items that are detrimental to your health and can lead to heart and lifestyle disease. So how does one navigate around that?
Who would like to answer that?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question entirely.
I think she was saying that...
I caught it briefly.
I think that the fact that some foods might possibly have...
So she mentioned specifically flora margarine. Can I give it my take
Right,
and then you
give
your take?
Yeah. I'm glad you got it
So basically,
Thanks,
what's important, the biggest take-home message is you need to be in control of your own plate, basically. So no industry, no power that might be should tell you what to eat. You need to scrutinize the ingredients.
And
you need to know what's in there.
It's better to be able to see.
Exactly. You need to be able to read.
It's not disguised underneath.
Exactly. You need to read it. There's no... I don't care who they are. They cannot tell you what's good for you. So you need to say to yourself, okay, this is margarine. What does it have? Trans fats? Does it have hydrogenated oils? Does it have sugar? Does it have salt? How much of it? Does it have water? Does it have fortifications?
So you've got to be smart.
You need to be very smart. And then at the end of the day, it's very important to actually start preparing your own food.
Right.
You need to learn that.
Okay.
That's quite important. Instead of buying Flora, for example, make your own butter.
Yeah.
Sorry to your affiliates. But you need to start learning to make your own butter. It's the easiest thing. Cream, put in a food processor, strain it, you have butter.
She
You
takes
control...
notes.
No, you need to, Jane.
Yeah.
You control your own salt, you control your own sugar, no rubbish added to it.
Okay. And what are the things that you shouldn't be doing to your heart?
Sure, where do we start? So if I could reiterate the lifestyle factors that actually increases risk factors, number one is smoking. So don't even go there or stop as soon as possible. Obviously, looking at your diet and really re-evaluate that. Then moving more is something I think that we should do more. And then also looking at our weight. Overweight and obesity is also a big crisis in our country. And I believe that that's also where a lot of these risk factors start from.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and good luck in getting your message across.
Thank
The
you.
thing is obviously to take control. Medical Patricia, Dr. Mavungo, Tracy Nelwamondo, and Dr. Bianaca van der Westhuizen from the Heart and Stroke Foundation. That's it. Tonight, news is next.